Glamour Pony, A Musical Space Journey
by Evangeline Crittenden and
Nick Rattray.
Illustrations by Hero Saint.
Welcome to our tuneful book, A Tale of Space Performers. It's worth much more than just a look. You'll notice in the corners
of certain pages little flags directing you to numbers of songs identified as tracks, the key to many wonders.
So if you want the whole shebang, the kit and the caboodle, just play the music that we sang, along with every doodle.
There once was a band from a faraway moon who was hoping their starship would take off real soon.
Romboy
and Flux were their musical names, and they dreamed of that star in the sky kind of fame. They played for the Martians, they played at the Merc, but the crowds were too quiet or way too berserk. 'Cause out there in space, you will find no marquee for a band so eccentric as Glamour Pony.
They daydreamed of meeting a crowd of their own. They scanned the great spacescape and felt so alone. Till, out from the dark of a total eclipse, they both spotted Earth and were oddly transfixed by the sound of an echo so charming and cute, like the cry of a faraway space owl hoot. "That planet is calling us," Romboy decreed.
"Then it must be a sign,"
Flux precisely agreed.
They looked at each other, then nodded and smiled, and their skin turned to gold. How fantastically wild! All around and below appeared hot rays of light that were vibrant and gleaming and brighter than bright. They had become sun rays.
Blazing a trail over spaceships and stars, past 4 comet clovers, by Venus and Mars. Their eyes were alight and they knew where to steer, and they burst their way right into Earth's atmosphere. They arrived at the hour when the afternoon dims. They harnessed their power and regained their limbs.
Then lit up the skies with such sparkling hues, too splendid to fathom, too plenteous to choose. A vision of grandeur, a wonder indeed, a gift for the senses, the whole planet agreed. The earthlings were dazzled and all were aware that the stars were aligned for a brilliant affair.
They played clubs in the east and rocked stages out west. They could finally unleash their spectacular best. The tour was a series of fabulous crowds. They sailed high on the vibes, way above the white clouds.
They played their best music and sang their best songs. There was no sign that anything right could go wrong. But that's when the headlines began to appear. Some weren't on Team Glamour and made that quite clear. They felt hurt and confused and abruptly alone. They laid with the jewel bugs and dreamt of their home. "We're better than this,"
Flux emphatically said. "You're right," Romboy leapt from his sugar grass bed. They had to break free from this cynical premise. What better excuse for a round of space tennis?
Tennis in space is like dancing with wings, with rockets on rackets and spaceballs with rings. They strapped on their wristbands, so eager to sweat, then backhands and forehands sailed over the net. They knew they were ready. They weren't gonna stop, 'cause haters will hate, but pop stars gotta pop.
They danced off the courts to a startling surprise. The fans had neglected this whole enterprise. The people ignored all their glistening splendor, a vast disregard for athletic adventure. It's one thing to slander and fictionalize, but how could you not even lift up your eyes?
But all of the gazes of all of their fans were glued to these boxes they held in their hands. Mysterious windows to other dimensions. Romboy and Flux never knew such inventions. And as they drew closer, sweet mother of Venus, each glow box displayed a pink digital penis. These people were under a terrible spell. They had to break free. It was time to rebel.
When the pixel-drawn peckers caught wind of the threat, they signaled the cry of the battle cornet and mutated to digital arches and swords while the rebels transformed into ladies and lords. the toxic technology started to cower as glam musicology flexed all its power. Those vicious code criminals finally failed. The crowds were ecstatic. The people prevailed.
As the dust settled, the crowd full of hugs, they were finally free of those greedy old thugs. They all gathered round while that glamorous band ignited a fire with the wave of their hand. And all through the night, Glamour Pony shared stories of exploits and asteroids and dark territories, of unicorns, French horns, and unyielding ladies, unusual romance, and avian babies.
And then, as the daylight had started to rise, so too did that duo, to wondrous surprise. They hovered aloft for a moment or two and promised another sunset rendezvous. But for now, their terrestrial journey has ended. You have to admit, it was really quite splendid.